If there's one thing I always love looking at, especially when it comes to games where you have to choose or you have to kind of decide what you want to play in with your play style, what characters you like, the designs, all that type of stuff, it usually becomes a really cool thing to look at when we do have a graph talking about what characters actually get used, what characters get pulled. And especially in Honkai Star Rail, this situation is even heightened even more just because you do have to pull for them, you do have to spend for these characters, and seeing what people are actually able to choose from or what they would want. This is a really cool thing to look at, especially with the assortment of characters that we have right now and all of the different play styles we have as well. There's just a large assortment of characters that some people may or may not summon on, and today, thankfully enough, we have a cool looking graph here from XHG Deluxe. Thank you so much for the graph. I'll make sure to put the link and all that type of stuff in the comments below or in the description so y'all guys can look at it yourselves if you want to. But with the sample size of 32,000, which is a pretty big chunk in all honesty, now we don't know exactly if this is full on from casuals, from meta players, from a mixed bag, how these guys are with their spending habits, all that type of stuff. We don't know that. It would be cool if HSR gave us an official list of, yo, this is how many people have these characters. Do you have a rare character? That would be really cool to look at. But going with this graph, I want to see what characters, how they are, how many people have them in regards to, I guess you could say, what people are summoning on, because of course from release date to PlayStation to now, there's been a lot of new players coming in, and so the percentages might look weird, might look cool. I don't know, we're gonna have to see right now. So if you're excited for more HSR content, especially because Sparkle is coming out very soon, make sure you leave a like in the comment below how excited you are for Sparkle, if you're pulling for her, if you're pulling for Acheron, if you're pulling for Adventure, because there's a lot of really cool things coming out very soon, and we also gonna get a nasty amount of showcases out as soon as Sparkle drops, and videos when information drops as well. So other than that, go ahead and do all that type of stuff. So let's get right back into the video talking about the characters that have been picked up the most from the sample size we have here. And number one being, of course, Dr. Ratio. You're gonna have him. It says 99.5%. I guess they just did not claim him in the mail, and they want to be like those people who have Alloy in their mailbox and see if they delete. When it comes to Dr. Ratio being in the mailbox, that's probably what it's going to be. Bronya being a second highest, with her being at 95.5%. Honestly, it surprises me and doesn't surprise me at the same time, looking at where she is, because with how long the game's been out since release, since version 1.0 all the way up until now, I think a lot of people have probably gotten her on the 300 pity when it comes to the standard banner with all the pulls we've been getting. And if you haven't gotten her through the 300 pity, you probably got her during a 50-50 loss, and that is honestly a really good thing that a lot of people have Bronya. She's such an amazing character, and to see that 95% of the people that were surveyed for this have her is really cool. That's kind of crazy that a standard character actually has higher percentage, in my opinion, than a limited character, just because you're not guaranteed Bronya unless you get that 300 pity. And with all of those players possibly being from release date, they might have all just already picked up Bronya from the pity. I know some people kind of choose other characters like Japard or Himiko or any other character if they really like those characters, their playstyle, or need them for something like Simulated Universe or Pure Fiction. There's a lot of different reasons why you wouldn't get those characters, but seeing that Bronya has been one of the characters that have been the most frequent on accounts is actually kind of insane. And then the next character, who we compare a lot to because they're fighting head to head with who's the better support, Ruan Mei is next up. And of course, her being a limited character, I expect her to be this freaking high with how amazing she's been and what type of buffs she's able to give a bunch of different units in this game. Being able to bypass a lot of the crazy things that make some units not work with others, she has just been a huge blessing when it comes to all the teams that she can be on. Dot, hyper carry, sub DPS, all of these different teams have been absolutely amazing, and especially with her weakness break efficiency that she gets within her kits. Yeah, you get a lot of stuff from Ruan Mei that no other character can provide right now. Whenever they do create a character that's slightly similar to Ruan Mei, that's when it gets exciting, because we're going to see some crazy team comps again with how Ruan Mei already shifted the crap ton out of a lot of these characters, making them so much better, so much cooler, so much stronger on her release. She's in the same situation where every team wants to get her instead of Bronya, or every team wants her instead of Bronya, and then the other team just has to take Bronya because Ruan Mei can only be one person and only on one team. So it's kind of cool seeing that a lot of people did summon for Ruan Mei. I think that was the pretty much consensus that you might need to summon for this character. This character is kind of a must summon at this point because she is super duper strong. And I wonder what the numbers are going to look like when her rerun comes, because I don't know if there's going to be another support character that's going to be on the tier of Ruan Mei, in all honesty. The next character is going to be Xuan, which honestly enough, I hear so many people say that Xuan, they did not grab out Xuan or Luocha, and Luocha's down here at 56.8%. So it's kind of interesting seeing how, even though Xuan being as strong as she is, her giving the crit damage buff and also, crit damage buff, and her being able to redirect damage, mitigate damage, have CC prevention, all this different type of stuff, even able to cleanse. She has been such a crazy unit for sure for a lot of different people. She is practically the god mode for this game because she is just that good at sustaining. You are a brick wall when she's on the team, and with all the extra stuff that she gives, of course, with them mixing and mingling kits within other paths, with preservation getting these buffing mechanics from Harmony, this is of course a really crazy character to have for sure, and especially someone that a lot of people are waiting to see when she gets her rerun, because it's coming up soon. Don't worry, they're gonna throw it at the worst possible time, and I am scared because in 7.1 or 7.1 in 2.1, when we get that live stream with Akron adventuring, I would not be surprised if they try to put something like Xuan and Jing Liu in the rerun schedule, or maybe Topaz and Jing Liu, or Topaz and Xuan. They're gonna throw something crazy in there to make y'all spend money. I know that for sure. That's gonna be the scariest thing when it comes to what they can do with the reruns when Acheron is releasing. Now, is it gonna impact those other characters that are rerunning? Very much so, because a lot of people are excited for Acheron, so we'll have to see how that works out. Clara being the next one at 72.5%. Now, I wonder, with the 72.5% of people that did get Clara, I see no one talking about Clara, and I don't think it's because of the meta of what we've been looking at when it comes to the characters or the enemies that we're seeing now in the game. I think actually these characters or enemies that are in the game right now actually benefit Clara a lot more, because you do see them attacking multiple times. A lot of these enemies have AoE hits or hits that hit the whole team, so Clara is pretty much guaranteed to get a hit on any person that you're able to go against within Memory of Chaos or even Pure Fiction. I've seen people use Pure Fiction Clara as well, so it's honestly cool to see that so many people have her. Not to the degree, of course, as the other standard banner units, which actually, why is Yanqing so far away from everyone else? You have Bronya at 95%, which of course everyone's gonna use their pity for. Clara at 72.5%, which she's the second highest standard banner unit, which is pretty interesting to see that she was picked up the most, whether it be through pity or whether it be through lost 50-50. Then you have Japard, which honestly I would have expected him to be a little bit higher, possibly over Clara, just because I think a lot of people did want to shell out for a Japard, for a Bailu, because they didn't have a sustain at the beginning of the game, or possibly maybe using pity if they already had Bronya, because in all honesty, if you look at the list of characters you do have, and you have DPSs, say it's like Celer, Jing Liu from the beginning of the game, and you already have Bronya, the best thing possible to get before Luocha or Xuan came out would have been Japard and Bailu. So this is actually very interesting to see that Clara is at the very top, besides Japard and Bailu, and the difference isn't too big, but it is around 3% difference, unlike how Japard and Bailu have a 0.5% difference or 0.4% difference, which is a little bit of a higher or smaller size between them. And then you have Welt going right behind with a 0.3%, and then you have Himiko 0.2% away. So seeing Clara be a little bit higher in percentage versus the point percentages that we're seeing with the other standard characters is honestly very interesting. Now, the next limited character besides Xuan and Ruan Mei is Silverwolf. Now, that is kind of a sad moment at the current moment. We got to see how Mono Quantum is going to be, especially with how Silverwolf has been in the game. She hasn't seen a lot of play, just because, of course, single target debuffing kind of isn't the name of the game when you can just support multiple teammates at once with like Ruan Mei, with Asta. You're able to have some crazy hyper carry potential with some other characters like Bronya, like Tingyun. And with Silverwolf, with how many tanky enemies are on the field or how many enemies switch in and out between waves, it's kind of hard to debuff one character, call it a day, and then just start, going crazy on them, unless you're running Mono Quantum, which we're about to see Silverwolf come back again, which I'm very excited for, because I'm really excited to use Mono Quantum with Sparkle, and Sparkle is going to be a big buff to Mono Quantum, which is going to be super, super cool. So going ahead and talking about other characters, that are going to be inside this as well is that for the next one is going to be on Jing. Why is he so why is he so far from everyone else? You have Clara, you have Japard, you have Bailu, you have Welt, Himiko, and then you have Yanqing around a percentage of difference away. I'm sure that the reason why he's this far low is not only because of his bad rep he's gotten throughout the different versions of Honkai Star Rail, but probably because no one's been using him on the 300 pity. Probably. That's a pretty big must. And I feel like this is more whale oriented because I feel like the percentages between each of these characters might be a little too close for me to think this is, I don't know what to say because it looks like the characters that are very valuable in terms of their value, like Ruan Mei, like Xuan, like Silverwolf being at the top, kind of do make sense for a lot of free-to-play players to get because at the time these characters were broken for what they did. Silverwolf being to implant any weakness to a lot of the enemies that were in MOC that were single target, and then you have Xuan being a god tier sustain, Ruan Mei being a god tier support. I can kind of see this being more free-to-play leaning because of what we're seeing right now. But going on past Yanqing, Sela is the next one over all these other characters that, of course, standard is a little bit easier to get. And then, of course, the super duper high value characters like Ruan Mei, Silverwolf, and also Xuan during their releases. That makes a lot of sense that Sela is down here because she's the first 5-star out of all of these supports, all of the crazy characters that came out after her, and she's the next 5-star that is at the top, I guess you could say, of that bracket. So this makes sense. A lot of people summoned for her at the very beginning of the game, so this is honestly 100% factual when it comes to where she would actually be placed between how many people do have her. Because if you came into the game after a certain amount of patches, or you came literally a patch after, or when Jing Liu came out, then it's very likely you didn't get the chance to get Sela because only the release players would have got her, and then she had a rerun way later. But then we had characters like Jing Liu, characters like Topaz, all these other DPS characters that kind of overshadowed the potential and the value that Sela holds at the moment. And especially right now before Sparkle, Sela just didn't have any reason to be picked up before all these other DPSs were around her. So that's pretty weird. And then we also have Luocha coming up next. Luocha being a sustain, I can 100% agree. But I do see a lot of people talking about how they don't have Luocha. And there's a good amount of percentage difference between Sela and Luocha as well. And then Jing Liu. Did Jing Liu and Xuan have the same banner? Were they next to each other? I think they were. Or was it Jing Liu Topaz? Who came with Topaz? I'm trying to remember, and now I can't remember. Is blanking. I feel like it was Jing Liu Topaz at the same time, but I could totally be wrong because I see Jing Liu up here and Topaz at the very freaking bottom. So I am very, very confused why she is high up. She's over here, but Topaz is all the way down there. For how crazy Topaz is and how great she is for follow-ups. I want to see how her numbers do during her rerun, so that's gonna be really cool. But man, really? She's all the way down. I would assume more people had her with how many people talk about her. And the same thing with the DPS. Dan Heng is down here under Jing Liu. A lot of people have already said that Jing Liu is much better than Dan Heng just because of the skill point efficiency. So that's understandable. Huo Huo being up there or down there, I can 100% agree with this just because I feel like Huo Huo, even though she's such a great unit, I do think she's one of the best sustains in the game for sure, just because the offensive capabilities that she does give with the multitude of teams that have a lot of firepower, and then even boosting that up even more. I can 100% agree why she's super good as a character, but as a pull value type of situation, seeing Huo Huo being down there makes a lot of sense because at the time, if you had Japard, if you had Bailu, if you had Luocha, if you had Xuan, there was no reason to go for Huo Huo. You had a lot of different sustain characters to choose from. And even with those 5-stars, you also had Lynx, you also have Fire MC, you also have Natasha. And although those characters aren't that strong, coupling two of them together can 100% allow you to clear a lot of these things that are in the game right now. So Huo Huo was just an extreme luxury pick at the time. And I want to see also when her rerun comes, how people are going to be going for that as well. And then Kafka being at 49.6% and seeing that this graph is recently made, it's weird that she's still this far down. I would assume she'd be a little bit higher. If I had to be realistic, above Huo Huo at least. I wouldn't say above Dan Heng and not above Jing Liu because like I said, at the time, those characters were by far the most busted characters in the game, 100%. And looking at what these characters were able to do during their patches. Kafka was a very hyped up character for sure and a big fan favorite when she came out, but the potential of Dot at the time wasn't fully explored at the very beginning versus what we know now and how strong she is now, and the teammates that she has at the current moment far surpassed what she had when she released. So seeing her this far down, I understand 100% when you're thinking of Jing Liu, when you're thinking of Dan Heng and how strong they were at the very start. So I can believe this. Jing Yuan being much lower as well, I understand this as well. Cele was the first banner. Everyone wasted their J's on Cele. We already knew Kafka was going to be coming out very soon. There was a lot of different things around him that just didn't allow him to be the best of what he wanted to do. And then there was talks about him getting nerfed from the beta from now. There was, of course, a lot of downplaying on Jing Yuan at the very start of the game, because after that MOC, a lot of people did not enjoy using Jing Yuan when he wasn't getting that speed buff. So at the time versus now, big difference. Just like Kafka, there's really big differences between their performance at the beginning of the game all the way to the end of the game, because right now he is doing some nasty numbers, and even at the start he was doing nasty numbers, but people didn't know how to use Jing Yuan like that. They didn't know about the speed, they didn't know about any of those things in regards to fine-tuning him. A small majority may have, but the large majority did not, and I was one of those people for sure. Black Xuan being this far down, 100% agreeable. If Kafka is this far low, people wouldn't be investing in dot units anyway, so there being a low sample size of units. So this shows me that this was made before or during Black Swan's banner, so this is pretty cool to see. And seeing that she's this far low, understandable, because if Kafka is this far low with her being the leader of the dot team, then why would people summon for Black Swan? So it makes 100% sense. Blade, my boy, my favorite character in the game, being this far low at 34.2%, I'll just say that even with his rerun coming, he just didn't have a good chance to be anywhere, in all honesty. And he doesn't have his light cone on. My bad. I gotta do this right now. Where is he at? There you go. Arlen, you're gonna have to take that off, bro. So Blade right now, sadly, he's always been in a bad situation for a lot of the things around him. Like his first release, he was next to Kafka. There was just going to be no way, shape, or form that was going to be okay for his case. I forgot what character came after Blade, but when he got his rerun, he was next to Ruan Mei. Like, come on, dude. So there wasn't really a good amount of options for Blade to be able to be picked up for a lot of the different times he was released. When he gets another rerun, will he get picked up? Very likely not, unless they make some crazy HP buffer that makes someone like Blade busted as heck, or they make a character that's really good sub DPS wise, and then Blade is just there at a time where there's no really cool banners out, then maybe. But if they keep releasing the same type of characters they've been releasing patch after patch after patch, with all of them be really cool, really unique, supplementing a lot of different playstyles for a lot of different teams, I just don't think Blade is ever going to get picked up anymore. And it's sad to see, because I really love this character. And then the last two being at a 27.3 and a 20.1 being Topaz and Argenti. Now Topaz, again, I don't remember 100% who she was with. Either it was with Jing Liu or Xuan. And I can 100% understand why she wouldn't be picked up if she was near those characters. I might be forgetting in my head who was next to her. But with Topaz being this far low, it sucks, but understandable again, because if you're not into the follow-up play style, especially at the time where people were looking into AoE, I can understand why people wouldn't want to pick up Topaz. But with Dr. Ratio coming out and giving everyone for free, getting that character for free, Topaz and Numbi skyrocketed like an insane amount. Also with Ruan Mei's release, so if you got Ruan Mei, the free Dr. Ratio, and Topaz and Numbi, you have a pretty big whale team to be able to work with Topaz and Numbi, and then just throw on a sustain. So especially with how good she is for follow-ups, I might even get her E1 on her rerun, which hopefully is not soon, because I would like to get it, just because Topaz and Numbi are just such a great character for the follow-up team and all that is included with that archetype. She is kind of the leader. I wouldn't say she's a full-on leader, but she's definitely up there at the top of the mountain when it comes to the follow-up team, just because the benefits that she does give with having follow-ups on that enemy, with hitting them with it, her being able to do damage as well out of her turn. There's a lot of really good things that come from Topaz and Numbi, but she's not as necessary as Kafka is to the dot team. Topaz and Numbi is really good. They provide really good debuffs, but I think they're important in the game. Although very crucial for the follow-up team to do a lot of damage, I don't think it's 100% needed. And of course, you would like to want to play the follow-up team to be able to want Topaz and Numbi in the first place. And then Argenti, I haven't seen a character since Argenti be this skipped. And I kind of understood he was going to be at the bottom just because I feel like a lot of people during that time, they were just very excited for whatever the next banner was. Who was the next banner for everyone to just full on skip Argenti? Because I know at the time, he was really cool for being able to hit the whole field. But when you have characters like Don Hung, characters like Jing Liu, characters like Sella at the time, Jing Yuan, you had a lot of AoE options that weren't really needed. And Argenti came at a time where we just didn't need DPSs. We had too many. We needed support units. We didn't get our first Harmony character. Where did he go? We didn't get our first Harmony character until Ruan Mei. And now we're getting Sparkle. We didn't expect to get Argenti. I think Argenti, was he the last banner before 2.0? No, right? What? It might have been Huo Huo and Argenti, and I'm just like fully blanking out. I have no idea. I can't remember. I'm literally losing it right now. I don't remember exactly what the banner order was. I should have looked that up probably before doing this. But from what I know, and I think it was the case. Oh no, Ruan Mei was after Argenti, and then it was Huo Huo Argenti, then Ruan Mei. Yeah. Ruan Mei was coming. There was no way anyone was going to summon on Argenti. We already had too many DPSs. He just didn't have a place in the meta, and he is good in pure fiction, but you can do without him in all honesty. Himiko Her to just run over everything, and then you should have one extra team to be able to match with the weakness of whatever the pure fiction is. So Argenti just didn't get the time to shine. He really didn't have anything to his kit that was game breaking or super duper unique or had a new play style that was necessary or needed, and especially with the condition of needing a full field of characters to be able to be on the field, to do the most damage, to be able to stack up your stacks quicker, to be able to get more crit damage. There was a lot going on that just wasn't going for his favor. So on that is going to be it for this video. This was honestly very, very cool to look at, especially with all the stuff included with how many people do have them, what the ranking of these characters are. And I would love to see this later on in the future with how this has changed with reruns coming out, with of course the meta evolving, the enemies evolving, all that type of stuff. So on that, let me know who's the rarest character on your account. Do you have Argenti? Do you have Topaz? Do you have Blade? All that different type of stuff. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. See y'all in the next one, and peace.